consider pardoning Eric Adams?
New York City Mayor Eric Adams, who's facing corruption charges, has been cooperating with the incoming Trump administration on its deportation plans. Will Donald Trump reward him for it by offering up a pardon? I don't know, let's watch.
Yeah, I would. I think that he was treated pretty unfairly. Now, I haven't seen the gravity of it all, but it seems, like being upgraded in an airplane many years ago. I know probably everybody here has been upgraded. They see you're all stars and they say, I want to upgrade that person from NBC. I'm going to upgrade him. And that would mean you'll spend the rest of your life in prison. I don't know. Somehow, I'd have to see it because I don't know the fact.
What Donald Trump is referencing there is the federal corruption charges that Eric Adams is facing in regard to, Turkish interests paying for airline upgrades as he was traveling to and from various parts of the country. Now, I'll give you more details on the charges against Eric Adams in just a minute, but there you have it. Donald Trump is in fact considering a pardon for Eric Adams, although he didn't entirely commit to it. Now, what did Eric Adams allegedly do? Well, he was indicted on these federal corruption charges in September over his acceptance of thousands of dollars worth of travel benefits from Turkish officials. He's supposed to stand trial for this beginning in April. Now, Adams feels that he's being unfairly targeted by federal prosecutors, which is actually pretty Trumpian. That's something that Donald Trump has alleged as well, claiming that lawfare has been used against him. But Adams has also been complimentary to Trump's incoming administration, making some wonder if the compliments are more about getting Trump to pardon Eric Adams. Adams has praised parts of Trump's agenda and said that he hopes to work with him on cracking down on undocumented immigrants who are accused of crimes. In fact, well before Donald Trump won the election, let's be fair here, because Adams was in fact vocal and very critical of the Biden administration's handling of the southern border and the migrant crisis. 200,000 migrants arrived in New York City, and it overwhelmed, the city and the resources that they have there. And Adams was frustrated with the Biden administration over that fact, and he was criticizing Biden. As he was doing that, Trump actually suspected that Biden would retaliate against Eric Adams with lawfare. But there is evidence to show that Adams did break anti-corruption laws. So he's not some innocent guy who's being targeted for no reason. Nonetheless, Trump expressed empathy for the mayor during a charity event that they both attended back in October, saying, quote, I know what it's like to be persecuted by the Justice Department for speaking out against open borders, Trump said, referring to the Justice Department. We were persecuted, Eric. I was persecuted, and so are you, Eric. And so now the question, is Adams essentially willing to play ball with the Trump administration, incoming Trump administration, and their efforts to do mass deportations in order to secure this pardon? Among the things that Adams is looking to do is reopen an ICE office on Rikers Island. And Adams has signaled that he might even go back to being a registered Republican. And his staff is currently trying to get him a ticket to Trump's inauguration. Now, Adams was asked point blank, are you working with the incoming Trump administration because you want a pardon? Let's see how that conversation went down.
Mayor, let's talk about what seems to be your sort of warming relationship with the president-elect. And I just wonder, is there a connection between your federal indictment on campaign finance fraud charges and your apparent shift towards him?
Not at all. Listen, I did nothing wrong. I said that over and over again. I should not have been targeted in the first place. I asked the current president, President Biden, to come to New York City to help me in 2022 to deal with gun violence. He arrived in the city, sat down with the police department. I met with his team several times on several initiatives. That's the same way I feel with the incoming president. I am not going to be warring with this president. I'm going to be working with this president.
And are you seeking a pardon from President-elect Trump, or trying to?
I am not communicating with the president about a pardon. I'm communicating with bringing resources to the city.
So Look, I think both things can be true. I think on one hand, Eric Adams wants something to be done about the migrant crisis, and it's also convenient that by working with the incoming Trump administration, he could potentially secure a pardon. So again, both things could be true. I'll give you some evidence for why I think that, but Cenk, what are your thoughts?
First of all, this is potential corruption from the Turkish government, so you're all anti-Turkish, and we should stop talking about this. And especially if you protest this on a college campus, you should be arrested. This is very, very anti-Turkish. I'm deeply offended. And so that should end this conversation. But okay, in case it doesn't, let's keep going. So look, it goes in both directions, but one more adamant than the other. On Trump, he's hilarious because he hasn't seen any of the details. This wasn't a simple upgrade. Nobody's getting arrested over an upgrade on a plane. The Turkish government guys tell Eric Adams people in the correspondence that we know now because of the filings. Okay, we got him this incredible, first-class ticket and this giant package when he gets into Turkey, and the ticket, plane ticket, will say is $50.
Yeah, I mean,
and then the Eric Adams person writes back, "That's too obvious. So let's make it like 1,000, so people don't wonder." When it's actually like 30,000. So this, I'm doing it from memory, right? So the numbers might be a little off, but in that ballpark.
No, it was a measly amount, right? Like something that was too obvious. Like what's going on with you Turks? Come on.
Yeah, this because they're probably like used to it with Erdogan and stuff. Like who cares if it's obvious? We're gonna get away with it anyway. Right?
I mean, we do have loosey-goosey regulations as it pertains to, corruption. But when it comes to foreign corruption, the laws tend to be a little stricter.
So Trump has this natural affinity for people who are corrupt. So he's like, I don't care what the reality is. Eric Adams, he's being charged with corruption? Not guilty.
He didn't say, okay, let's be fair, because he didn't say that. And also to be fair, he obviously read some of the details because he knows about the flight upgrades.
Yeah, so look, if Eric Adams didn't agree with him on immigration, we'd be having a very different conversation about Eric Adams, okay? But again, so foreign governments involved, corruption's involved. Trump doesn't want to hear any of that. He doesn't want to hear it, okay? Because if he says yes to that, then it opens him up to charges about him. So, but that's the mild one. For Eric Adams, he has all the incentive in the world to go towards Trump. If I was a crook like him, I'd go towards Trump too. Because he's thinking, Biden would never pardon me. Biden's Justice Department is the one that pursued me, right? Even though I'm a Democrat and he's a Democrat. But Trump will pardon anyone who kisses his ass, right? If you're corrupt and you're anti-immigrant and you kiss his ass, it's a guarantee. So he's locking in a pardon because you know why? Because he needs one. Because very, very, very likely he did it.
I mean, this is a convenient situation for Eric Adams, right? Number one, he had been complaining about the migrant crisis for a long time, well before Donald Trump, or it was clear that Donald Trump was gonna win the election.
Yes, that's true.
So I wanna provide some evidence of that. So let's take a look at this article that was published by CNN on September 1st. Obviously, September 1st, months before the election, it was unclear whether Donald Trump would win. But it's titled, "Finger Pointing and Frustration Over Migrant Crisis Leads to a Total Breakdown Between White House and New York City Mayor." And in that piece, they write that the relationship between President Joe Biden's White House and Eric Adams began breaking down in private months earlier than previously known, and long before the New York mayor started publicly blasting the president over the migrant crisis in his city. There's no leadership here, Adams told a group of Biden aides last October, meaning October of 2023, in the chief of staff's office, demanding the president do more to help his city handle a massive influx of migrants. So look, I'm gonna be honest, I think that whether Eric Adams was, facing this federal case in regard to corruption allegations or not, he was going to want to work with the Trump administration on this issue anyway, because it's something that has overwhelmed New York City, and he's frustrated with how Democrats have handled it. And by the way, he might also be considering where the voters in New York are on this issue. A new Siena College poll found some interesting results. A recent Siena College New York State poll found that 54% of respondents say the state should support any Trump administration efforts to deport migrants living illegally in the state, compared to just 35% of respondents who oppose the plans. And by the way, that includes 51% of residents in New York City who are in favor of mass deportation plans by the Trump administration, which is pretty depressing. I think mass deportation is a really bad idea, and I think that it would lead to all sorts of unintended consequences. But Eric Adams has been clear in making a distinction between migrants overall, which he does not want to do mass deportations of, and migrants who have committed crimes. He wants to work with the Trump administration to deport migrants who have been found committing crimes in New York City.
Yeah, so I said that they're both anti-immigrants, and that's not actually fair. So let me bring that back. They're looking to crack down on the immigrant situation in specific in New York. At least Eric Adams is, particularly to crime and some of the other issues that are happening. But the overall point is that Eric Adams and Trump had been heading toward the same direction on immigration for over a year now. So that part is true. It's not just, Eric Adams turned around on a dime when he thought he can get pardoned by Trump. No, he continued in the same direction. So now what I would say to Trump though is, just because you guys agree on immigration as it comes to New York, doesn't mean you have to pardon the guy from corruption charges that have nothing to do with immigration. Like, you could take the win on, as you perceive it, on immigration without having to bolster his, in my opinion, and apparently the opinion of the Justice Department, the law breaking that he's done. Okay, now finally, I'm really worried about that number that Anna gave at the end. Huge percentage of people who live in New York City, one of the most democratic, liberal, progressive, whatever term you want to use, cities in the country, are saying deport them all, mass deportations. No. And this is exactly what's wrong, in my opinion, with when you
neglect something. When you neglect something.
Well, that's
right.
Yeah, hold on though. So that's a huge part of it, right? But also when you take extreme positions. So when you take extreme positions, as some on the left have, it makes even good Democrats go, forget it. Okay, let's just mass deport. No, don't do that. Don't do that. There is a reasonable way to do this. So some folks are gonna, when they go to deport felons, they're gonna fight back, and that's gonna be a disaster, because it's going to drive more Americans, including more Democrats, to do more deportations, not less. Please take a reasonable position so we can defend that position, so we don't have mass deportations.
Good luck with that.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.